force of history.
My father was Eddie Jacobson. Although his name was Edward, no one ever called him that. He was Eddie to everyone. He was best known as being Harry Truman's partner and lifelong best friend. Daddy grew up in this Orthodox family. His parents were immigrants. Daddy was not well educated. He had to leave school at a very, very early age to help support the Jacobson family. Daddy went to work for a haberdashery store in Kansas City and went almost every day at noon to take the little packet of money to the bank. And the bank teller was a man by the name of Harry Truman. And this is where they met and became friends. The two men just clicked. They were brothers. Total respect for each other. They decided they would go into business together. And they started Truman Jacobson in the prime location directly across the street from the Hotel Mulebach.
This man with whom I was in business was Eddie Jacobson. He was one of the best buyers that ever I came across. And I was one of the best salesmen that he ever had to be associated with. One of the finest men I ever had anything to do with.
And all of a sudden, the bottom fell out. They had to declare bankruptcy. They remained very, very, very close friends always. Truman went into politics. Daddy traveled all of Kansas and western Missouri selling shirts and pajamas. When he was in town, they always had lunch together. They always enjoyed each other. I always called him Uncle Harry. Members of the organized Jewish community used to go to Truman. They knew what was going on. They wanted help. You have to see Dr. Chaim Weizmann when he comes to the States. And Truman said, I don't have to do anything. I'm President of the United States.
I gave orders that nobody was to come to see me to talk about the Palestine affair.
Frank Goldman, who was international president of B'nai B'rith, called one night, middle of the night, and said to Daddy, you've just got to go and talk to Truman. The situation is dire. So in the middle of the night, Daddy went down, got on an airplane, went to Washington, walked into the office of Matt Connolly. Matt was Truman's appointment secretary, and said, does the boss have any time to talk to me for a little while? And Matt said, yes, but Eddie, don't talk to him about Palestine.
Dr. Weizmann had been trying to get in all along, and I wouldn't let him in. But someone did come to see me, and he got in. His name was Eddie Jacobson. He came in, stood around, didn't say very much, as quiet as he could be. And I finally said, Eddie, what in the world's the matter with you? Have you at last come to get something? Because you never have asked me for anything since I've been in the White House and since we've been friends. And then he told me that he thought that I ought not to keep Dr. Weizmann out of the White House.
And then Daddy said, Dr. Chaim Weizmann has come to the United States to tell you about the situation in Palestine, and you won't see him. Harry, that's not like you. All he wants to do is talk to you. And about that time, Harry's chair turned around and he looked out of the rose garden, and pretty soon Daddy said he could see him drumming on his desk. And Daddy said to himself, I got him. And he pulled the chair around and said, okay, you bald-headed son of a bitch, I'll see you.
Dr. Weizmann is a wonderful man, one of the wisest people I think I ever met. He was a leader, one of the kind that you read about and seldom see. We had a long, long conversation, and he explained the situation from his viewpoint, and I listened to him very carefully.
recognition and the State of Israel came into being, Daddy's role became even more important because there was no ambassador yet. Every bit of business that was done between Israel and the United States came through Eddie Jacobson. It came through our living room. It is important to speak truth to power. It is important to maintain your friendships. Daddy was in the hospital for a short period of time, and I went to call on him, and I stood next to his bed, and he said, "You know, I spend all this money going to and from Washington with all of this business I have to transact there for the new little state. I won't have anything to leave you." And I said, "Daddy, you're leaving me the best thing of all. This is quite a heritage I have."
Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Jacobson's daughter, Eleanor Jacobson Borenstein, and Eddie Jacobson's granddaughter, Hazel Becker, and the grandson of President Harold S. Truman, Clifton Truman Daniel. Wow. Relationships matter. That is certainly the moral of the Truman Jacobson story. It's the moral of AIPAC's story as well. Eddie Jacobson was the U.S.-Israel relationship's first key contact. Could Eddie Jacobson have imagined that we would be sitting here today with 18,000 key contacts? Relationships and the willingness of individuals to take action, to stand up for what they believe is right. These are the pillars of our work. And this conference offers us the opportunity to build friendships, to renew ties, and to focus together on what we can achieve to make our world a better, safer place. I am tremendously grateful to all of you who have given me the opportunity to serve as AIPAC president. And thank you. And for the continued honor to work with you to ensure the strength of the U.S.-Israel bond. We are fortunate that we have an incredible team to lead us, and I want to personally thank AIPAC's professional staff, led by our incredibly talented CEO and Vice CEO, Howard Kaur and Richard Fishman. To my predecessor and dear friend, Michael Casson, and his wife, Shelley. Thank you for your example, support, and constant friendship. To the entire AIPAC Board of Directors, I value your hard work and your sincere dedication. It is unmatched, and our ongoing partnership is something I truly treasure. Thank you. To my wife, Louise, I could not have done this without you. You have been with me on this journey every step of the way, and thank you for all your support and guidance and love. I love you. And to our children, Sarah, Jake, David, and Susanna, thank you for being my best cheering squad and your passion for our work. And for all your love and support. I am lucky that in AIPAC, I have found like-minded partners and lifelong friends. And we are all fortunate that one of these dear friends will lead AIPAC into the next chapter of our history. She is wise, always asking the right questions and having the sound judgment to deliver thoughtful answers. She is known for her kindness, respected for her insight, admired and trusted because she values the opinions and principles of others, while always remaining true to who she is. How fortunate we are that AIPAC's next president is Lillian Pincus.
I've always been inspired by Israel's fourth Prime Minister Golda Meir. Trust yourself, she said. Create the kind of self you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning these tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement. Every one of us has the ability to make a difference. We have to believe in ourselves. We can do something, and that's what. There are a lot of challenges out there. Some might look at those challenges and become pessimistic, but I have to tell you, when you're involved with AIPAC, I look at those challenges and I know the work we do really can make a difference. My parents were Holocaust survivors. When they came to this country, they started farming. In our home on the farm, the kitchen had a bay window, and everybody would sit around the kitchen table. And there was this one little radio that would sit on the table. And as a kid, all I knew was that the radio only spoke Yiddish because it was tuned to the Yiddish station, and it was always news about Israel. And so for me, the ties to Israel are deep, and they started early. My parents said of all the things that the Nazis took from them, the one thing they couldn't take was the things that they had learned. So I went to Brandeis, then went to Harvard for graduate school. I get hired at Temple Emmanuel to be the youth director. That's how I got here. I married into a family business. We have a nursery. I took over the landscape department during a pretty rocky time in the history of our business. It really was frightening because there's a lot of responsibility that was involved. A lot of families were counting on those paychecks. But like many challenges in life, it turns out to be one of your defining moments, one of the things that makes you stronger. And when I look back and I think, how is it that we were able to take the business from when it was really struggling and grow it? And I have to say, we really built a great team. And in many ways, it's similar to my experience at AIPAC. We can't accomplish the work we need to do by just having one or two strong people. We need a team of people. First, I started by attending meetings. And then I became the local AIPAC chair. I moved on and I became the political chair. And I got nominated to the board. And when you get on the board of directors of AIPAC, you work. You come to Washington 10 times a year. You're deeply involved in politics to support those candidates who support a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. We work with Democrats and we work with Republicans because the mission is really to create policy that bonds the United States and Israel together, that makes America stronger and Israel secure. And in order to do that, we need bipartisan support. I saw, through my own life experience, what happened to my parents because there wasn't a Jewish state to protect them. There wasn't a Jewish state to take them in. And what that means is we have to work to secure Israel. And now that I have a new grandbaby, it's even more meaningful. I know that when I walk out on that stage at Policy Conference to accept the role and responsibilities of AIPAC President, guiding me, I will have my parents on one shoulder and my granddaughter on the other.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AIPAC President Lillian Pincus.
Most importantly, thank you for the hard work and the example of leadership you set for every single one of us. I am incredibly grateful to be serving with you and such an extraordinary group of leaders on AIPAC's National Board of Directors. Thank you all. To the two gentlemen who lead AIPAC's professional staff, Howard Kaur and Richard Fishman, on behalf of AIPAC's National Board of Directors, I want to say how fortunate all of us feel to have your continued sound judgment and strong leadership. And to the entire AIPAC staff, it is so evident that your work is more than a job. Your passion and commitment to our mission makes us all a family. Family. It's important to me as it is to all of you. And through the years, the AIPAC Policy Conference has become a gathering place for my family, a kind of reunion. And I am grateful to have so much family with me here this morning, our own special delegation of 32. Where are you guys? To my husband, John, who is my partner in everything, including our shared commitment to this work, and to our children, Jared and Samantha, Aaron and Pamela, and my granddaughter, to my sisters, brothers, nieces, nephews, and cousins, especially my cousins who came all the way from Israel. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you. Where are you guys? And to my AIPAC family, all 18,000 of you, including the more than 4,000 college students, from every state in deeply honored and humbled to accept the responsibility of AIPAC president. I am very much aware that I come into this position at a time of great challenge. Israel's neighborhood is literally disintegrating all around her. Iran, enriched and emboldened. Hezbollah and Hamas, rearming and re-aiming. International bodies ridiculing and rebuking the Jewish state. And here at home, we wrestle with the divisive and polarized political environment. But we gather in our nation's capital this week to say to those who threaten Israel, who may try to bend or break the alliance between these two great democracies, it will not happen. We come together to ensure that the alliance between the United States and Israel is forever. All right. But now, to attain this goal, we must shape American foreign policy in ways that strengthen America and secure Israel. And that rests on 3 pillars. First, we must work in a bipartisan manner. Second, we must grow the number of people involved in both pro-Israel politics and AIPAC. And third, we must continue to make the AIPAC family as diverse as America's family. Let's start with bipartisanship. I'm really not using the word bipartisan as some kind of platitude. It is fundamental to our ability to shape American foreign policy. Bipartisanship is the only way to ensure passage of legislation that secures the vital bond between the United States and Israel. That's how ideas become law. And since we don't know with any certainty who will win in any given election, we must be sure to have solid friendships with whoever wins. There are sound reasons for individuals, whether they see themselves as conservatives or progressives, to support the bilateral relationship between America and Israel. Israel earns that broad bipartisan support because Israel embodies the best of American values, a country which shares America's commitment to freedom, democracy, individual human rights, and a vision for a better world. So how do we ensure that everyone who emerges victorious after Election Day knows someone in the pro-Israel community who can help them broaden their understanding of Israel and deepen their own personal connection to the Jewish state? How do we ensure that we continue to impact the foreign policy conversation about Israel? Here's how we do it. We need your active involvement, and we need the active involvement of your political opposite. It may even be the person sitting right next to you. Our country has 2 political parties. Over the past decade, the issues that divide the parties has intensified. But one issue continues to serve as a bridge: support for Israel. Yet today, even that is being tested. You and I, we, together, we're the about it. The fact that the person sitting next to you shares your commitment to a strong Israel, but may align completely differently on other issues. That political diversity, that is our strength. We need each other. That is the strength of AIPAC. We encourage everyone to develop relationships with our country's leaders, and we depend on a diversity of conversations, all leading toward the same goal, to keep America and Israel safe and strong. My friends, that is the power of bipartisanship. As Americans, how fortunate are we to live in a country that not only permits our involvement in politics, but actively encourages us to participate in the democratic process. Look at it this way. Politics is our pen with which we get to write the next chapter of our history. We can't afford the luxury of skepticism about our political system. It's the only one we've got. And too much, way too much, depends on our involvement. Did you know that more than half the members of Congress today were elected in just the last 8 years? This is just one measurement of the massive turnover in Congress, and it means we have to engage, educate, and build new friendships with hundreds of leaders all the time. After all, today's city councilwoman could very well be tomorrow's senator. We have to continually reach out to rising stars while working closely with those already holding public office. Simply put, to develop and nurture relationships with our country's leaders, we need more people engaged in pro-Israel politics. And it's not just about the numbers. I find very often people just don't know how to get started. You and I need to help them, to show them how. I'm often asked how John and I first connected with AIPAC. It was really quite simple. Friends of ours, Susan and Alan Kramer, invited us to attend an AIPAC parlor meeting with them. And that was all it took. Once I understood how AIPAC works, a light turned on for me. I saw how one individual, someone like me, someone like you, can participate and make a difference in strengthening the U.S.-Israel relationship. And that is the experience of most people who care about Israel. Once they understand how AIPAC works to secure the friendship between the United States and Israel, all they really want to know is, how can I help? Take a moment. Think about the person who introduced you to AIPAC. Now, think about the individuals who should be joining you today, but aren't. Name them in your mind. You can be their Susan. You can be their Alan. We need every single one of them with us. During my time as president, I want to work with you to grow the number of pro-Israel Americans engaged in our work, so we can ensure we are effective for decades to come. But it's not just about the numbers. America is changing, and the pro-Israel community in America needs to continue to change with it. Our movement needs the variety of life experiences history, and backgrounds to ensure that multiple meaningful conversations are taking place with our country's leaders. We know this strengthens our community and our work. Case in point, almost 10 years ago, AIPAC's Education Foundation led the first trip to Israel for pro-Israel Christian activists. Participants in that trip returned to their hometowns, inspired to do everything possible to strengthen their community's involvement in pro-Israel politics. One of those activists, John Bueller, an engineer from Huntsville, Alabama, founded 2 statewide pro-Israel Christian organizations. He built strong friendships with key legislators, and he forged deeper ties with the Alabama Jewish community. Over the past few years, John had become increasingly motivated as a pro-Israel Christian to do something about the growth of the anti-Israel boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement known as BDS. Having already built relationships, John spoke to his friends in the state legislature. With John leading the way, legislators and key members of both the Jewish and Christian communities came together. Last month, Alabama's legislature unanimously condemned the BDS movement and reaffirmed Alabama's support for the one and only Jewish state. That's what happens when we work together. That's what happens when leaders like John Bueller are part of the AIPAC family. We need more leaders like John Bueller. We've made a strong start, but it's still just a start. Our goal is not only to fill arenas. Our goal is to fill our country with men and women who know and understand as we do that a strong Israel means a strong United States of America and a safer world for everyone. To grow our movement and meet the challenges ahead, each one of us needs to make our own commitment. We need to take the energy of this weekend and bring it back to our home communities. By working in a bipartisan manner, by growing AIPAC and pro-Israel politics, and by making sure AIPAC continues to reflect the rich diversity of this great country, we will ensure that we don't leave the future to chance. Years ago, during my first AIPAC policy conference, there was a young man sitting next to me. I would say he was in his early 20s. I looked over and I noticed tears were streaming down his face. So I turned to him and asked, "Are you all right?" He introduced himself. He didn't have to tell me where he was from. I could hear his Israeli accent when he spoke. He said, yes, I'm okay. I just never imagined this. I just never imagined this. My friends, he never imagined so much love and support for Israel in one room. You see, he said, I know, sometimes in Israel, it feels as if we're all alone. That stayed with me. It motivated me further to want to help ensure that our brothers and sisters would never be isolated or alone. Not now, not ever. When sirens wail in the towns of southern Israel, as they still too often do, the people of those communities know they are not alone. You and I work with our elected leaders in Congress and the administration to fund the missile defense systems that keep them safe. And when those same citizens hear sounds coming from beneath the ground, you and I work with our elected leaders in the administration and Congress to fund the technologies that can detect and destroy those terrorist tunnels. When Israel is faced with its enemies' growing arsenals, you and I work with our elected leaders in the administration and Congress to secure the funding needed to maintain Israel's qualitative military edge. And when children, mothers and fathers are murdered, when an American veteran is murdered, when a teenager, a young man filled with promise, who sat in the audience with us just last year, when they are murdered, we make our voices heard. We send a clear message that America stands by Israel, that the incitement and murder of Israelis must stop. Time and again, you and I respond with action. Action that says clearly and without hesitation, Israel, you are not alone. On Tuesday, that's tomorrow, we will go to Capitol Hill and we will advocate for a strong U.S.-Israel friendship, for a safe and secure Israel, because justice demands